We're going to be looking at various ways that you can distort shapes in Illustrator. So we're going to look first of all at the Puppet Warp tool. So this is a tool that's been around for a while in Illustrator, but it originated in Photoshop and After Effects, but it works in a very similar way. So I have this text here, and I'm going to go to the Puppet Warp tool, which is here. No, it's not. It's here. Together with the free transform tool, Puppet Warp tool. So when you choose it, you'll see that it puts a kind of mesh over your shapes, and it puts these pins in here. But you can totally control that. So if I was to remove, you cannot have no pins, but you can select and delete ones you don't want. So if I've just got one pin here and I move, you can see it's just moving that one letter because the mesh only extends for this letter. It doesn't join up. But I can extend that mesh or expand it here by increasing this value. So I'm going to extend it so that the mesh covers everything. So now you'll see that everything moves. Now I'm going to put some pins in to help me with my distorting of this word. So I'm going to put a pin there. This pin I'm going to delete, and I'm going to put there and there, and then I'm going to maybe I don't want that one there, and then I'll put one here and here and here, and I'm going to start distorting. So I'm going to drag it, and sometimes it might not look very promising until you actually get a bit further on and you can start seeing it come together. So what I want is the word Africa to actually fill the shape of Africa. So I'm just putting pins in and dragging parts of the shape. I think maybe this part can come down. Okay, and let's bring this down here. Okay, so you get the idea. Obviously, if you take more time, you can get a much better result. But that's the Puppet Warp tool, and it will work with any vector shapes that you select before you apply the tool. So let's move on to the next artboard, which is looking at envelope distorting. So I'm going to select this first one. I'm going to ungroup it. Oh, it is ungrouped. So I just want the text selected. Now, all of this text has been converted to outlines. It's not live text. However, you can actually apply a lot of these distortions to live text and then edit it afterwards. I'm not, because I just want to have a clean result. So select Object, Envelope Distort, and Make with Warp. So warp is kind of these preset options of how to warp things. You can play around with this. I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's say I wanted to use bulge. And then you can adjust some of the parameters here. So for example, how it bulges out and so on. So, and it is non-destructive. So in other words, I can go back here to Object and Envelope Distort, and you can release it, and then you have your shape and your text again. So I'll just undo that. I'll select the second shape, Object, Envelope Distort, and let's make with Mesh this time. And I'm going to just bring it down to 2 by 2. Zoom in a bit. Now here you need your direct selection tool because you want to be able to select individual points and distort using your direction handles. Okay, so this is more flexible and it allows you to achieve a specific shape. Okay, that's mesh. The next one is Object, Envelope Distort, and Make with Top Object. So let's just go out. And what I want to do is take this shape and copy it and then paste it on top. So edit, paste in place, and I'll just remove the fill so that I've got that top shape selected, and then I'm going to add the text to it. So I've got a circle in the text and object, envelope distort make with top object. And you'll see that it's, in fact, I'm going to bring this down a little bit like that. So it uses the shape to distort the text or whatever shape it is that you want to distort. It will give you unpredictable results if your top object is too complex. So you want to try and keep it a very simple shape. Okay, and then what were the other settings here? Oh, okay, there's actually no other ones here. But what I would suggest, like I have plenty of times before, is that when you are ready to finish off this document, you should expand these envelope settings because you don't want to lose them sending your document to someone who maybe doesn't have the same version of Illustrator that you do. So you just select and you go Object, Expand, and then OK. And this is no longer an envelope object, it's just shapes. So that's envelopes. And then finally, we're going to look at Liquify. So there are a lot of different Liquify settings. I'm just going to choose 2 of them just to give you a taste of it. So here, this red circle I've got selected. And I'm going to go here to my width tool, and you'll see I've got all these Liquify tools. So I'm going to choose Warp, and you'll see that what it allows me to do is to warp the shape that I have selected. If I double click on the tool, I can change the settings here. I'm going to change the intensity up. You can change the size of your brush just by holding Alt on Windows or Option on a Mac. And now you can, now this is going to be, give you longer trails because I set the intensity higher. Okay, so that is warp. And then for this one, I'm going to just try out, I think it's crystallize, and I'm holding out down Alt to give me a nice big circular brush. And then if I just click, you can see that it gives me that. Let me actually make the brush even bigger than that. And set it in the middle and click. Okay, so that gives me kind of a nice starting point. So I could now go to my direct selection tool and I could select individual points and make this more random. Okay, so that's just a little taste of some of the things that you can do in Illustrator to distort your vector shapes.